Yo, what's going on, everybody? And thank you for watching another episode of the Rolly Pod. Before we get into the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It helps grow the following, and it's deeply appreciated. Jump right into it. College football. So Oregon went up against Colorado up in Oregon and put the beats on Colorado. They was up 35 nothing at halftime. I want to say I was very surprised and kind of went. I mean, I know that I said I had Colorado winning or Colorado covering, but kind of went as expected. Oregon has the better athlete, the bigger team. They more established. But Colorado, what I would say is what I like I've been saying, Colorado need a O line and a D line. And to be fair, Dion did say that in the beginning of the season that they were not ready yet to compete against teams like Oregon, Alabama, or Georgia because they need more players or more studs on their O line and D line. And that game showed against Oregon that that's clearly was the difference, the advantage for Oregon. They had a better O line and a better D line. Colorado did not have a good O line. They can't run the ball, and their defense sucks. The defense is trash. That's all I'm gonna say. Not really gonna spend too much time on this game. Colorado was down 35 nothing at halftime. They did manage to score a touchdown to make it somewhat respectable, but what I would say is, um, I like what Dion's doing over there. He knows himself. He knows what his weaknesses and his strengths are. So there's nothing really that should have surprised them. He I expect them to bounce back and put forth a value and effort against USC this week. Alabama, like I said, I don't know what's going on with Alabama. They've back to their quarterback that started the season, Jalen Merrill. Um, I don't know what's going on with Alabama. I honestly don't. The defense still looks stout. It looks like it's getting back on schedule. But other than that, I don't really know what's going on with Alabama. They did beat Ole Miss, so shout out to them. Milrow did play okay. He had a touchdown and an interception. He threw a great touchdown pass. Stood in the pocket and just delivered it right on the money and got smacked at the same time. So he could stand in the pocket and make some throws. It's just his consistency and his accuracy while throwing the ball is kind of iffy. So that's kind of where I'm at with Alabama and the QB situation. Jump into Penn State. Penn State beat Iowa. I keep saying with Penn State, I'm not really surprised with anything they do. I just want to see how they do against Ohio State and Michigan because Ohio State and Michigan are the only competition in the Big Ten. So Penn State, I'm happy and I'm supporting y'all right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the team. Y'all beat Iowa. I think it was 35 nothing. So shout out to y'all. Y'all did come to play. So Penn State, the whiteout game, I think that was their homecoming game, but it was their national whiteout game. Very electric. Iowa didn't really stand a chance. Penn State looked dominant, as they've been looking all season. Their defense is really stout. So, like I said, I'm only judging Penn State off of how they perform against Ohio State and Michigan. All right. Ohio State. Ohio State did beat Notre Dame in South Bend. So shout out to them. It was a really tough and entertaining game. Um, I would say the game kind of went as if how Notre Dame wanted it to go. Notre Dame was very competitive. They did lose the game on, it was, I want to say, the couple last plays. They did have only 10 men on on a field to play at the time of that play. So Notre Dame put a value of effort. I'm really impressed with what I've been seeing from Notre Dame. So I'm not even gonna talk a lot about them. But Ohio State, they're still a work in progress. They're not the of high flying Ohio State that we were used to seeing, but they're kind of getting a tough and gritty side of them. that can win the tough smash mouth games. So that's good because last year they did get punked by they did get punked by Michigan. So I guess they're preparing themselves to face against Michigan. So that's good for Ohio State. Notre Dame, um, you could pat yourself on the back. That was a moral loss. You could take a victory in that loss because you guys did do everything you guys were supposed to do. You guys are still an upcoming team. So shout out to y'all. I do like y'all QB, Sam Hartman. So that was a great pickup for y'all, and I hope that y'all can now start recruiting QBs like that, or even transfer portal and getting QBs like that, so that your program can be more consistent and more, in the top 10 conversation every year, and not back to the old ways that Notre Dame was the last couple of years, where it was basically non-existent. Florida State did beat Clemson. Florida State went into Clemson and defeated Clemson for the first time in over I don't know how many years, but it was over a long time. Florida State, um, they look resilient. They was down early in this game, kept coming back, forced overtime, and ended up winning this game. Florida State quarterback was hurt he was coming off an injury from last game that was still lingering this week. His shoulder injury. You could see it basically the whole game. So I'm very impressed with Florida State. They are a very resilient team. They're a very dominant team. And Clemson, like I said last week, the Dabo era might be done. The Dabo Sweeney winning national championship era is probably done in Clemson. So hopefully he can retool and whatever he needs to do, but he needs to get back to the recruiting. He needs to get back to whatever he needs to do because I heard that they don't take any transfer people or go through kids from the transfer portal. They just do mainly recruiting, which is not to say that's bad, but you got to get with the times. Don't reject or dismiss the change in environment just because you want to be old school. Adapt with the time, and that's how all great coaches last. If you want to be a great coach and last in this league, you have to adapt. That's my advice for that. Like I did mention, the Heisman favorite is now Michael Penix Jr. He has been exceptional through these 4 weeks of college football. He has just been exceptional. The second favorite would be Caleb Williams, and third is Shedeur Sanders. Michael Penix has just been balling out. He has Washington, I think, at number 7th rank in the AP or number 6. But I'm very impressed with what he's been doing. And I want to give a shout out to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is looking like the best conference in college football this year, besides the SEC. And that's kind of really something to say because the Pac-12 is supposedly being dismembered and dispersed by the end of this year. So that's something that I'm still not understanding about college football. So somebody help me understand it. Now let's look ahead to this week. This week. So this week we have Oregon State versus Utah. I expect that to be a defensive slugfest. I expect that to be not really much on the offensive side. Utah has an exceptional defense. Oregon has one of the top defense in the nation. So Oregon State has one of the top defense in the nation. So I'm expecting this to be a defensive slugfest. I'm not really expecting much from Utah, though they might get their quarterback Cam Rising back this game. But all in all, I'm just expecting this to be a very low scoring defensive game. I do kind of I am leaning towards Utah to win. But the game of the week, college football game of the week, we have Colorado versus USC. It will be Caleb Williams versus Shedeur Sanders. It should be very I don't know. I want to say high scoring, but then I don't know how Colorado O line holds up. Though USC doesn't have the talent that Oregon has, but USC has more of the explosive firepower on offense. So, and Colorado defense can't stop a nosebleed right now. So it's very worse. They talked a lot of trash to Oregon before the game, and just to get blown out. Um, it's kind of putting a cart before the horse. Your defense is not there yet. Your pops know your defense is not there yet, but yet you're still talking a bunch of smack to a Power Five, a top offense in the nation. So I don't understand what a Shiloh was doing last game, but Colorado defense is very suspect. So I expect this to be a high scoring game. Um, but I do expect Colorado to bounce back. I expect Shador to bounce back, and I expect the offensive line to bounce back. Because the offensive line last week got pushed around. They allowed 7 sacks, so I expect them to bounce back to this week and be not dominant, but be respectable against USC. But I do think USC will end up winning that game, but I think Colorado will cover. LSU versus Ole Miss. LSU versus Ole Miss. Um, Simply put, I'm taking LSU. I just like the quarterback. I don't know what's going on with Ole Miss right now. We have Penn State versus Northwestern. Penn State should win this game easily. Hopefully, if they don't overlook this game, if this don't be a trap game for them. So if they come prepared and focused, Penn State should win this game easily. Then we have Notre Dame versus Duke. I'm taking Notre Dame in this one. Yes, though Duke is undefeated right now, and I just like Notre Dame. I like the defense, and I love what they're doing over there. So I'm just on board with everything Notre Dame is doing right now. Georgia versus Auburn, um, SEC battle. I'm taking Georgia. Auburn doesn't look that impressive this year. Georgia, have been having some slow starts, then finishing strong. So until somebody do knock off Georgia, I'm gonna take Georgia. Um, there's not really much to say about Georgia at the time being. And then Alabama versus Mississippi State. Like I said, I'm gonna take Alabama simply because of Nick Saban. But to be honest, I don't really trust the quarterback. I don't trust their. I don't trust anything on the offensive side for Alabama right now. So we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. The National Football League. Let's go over some things that happened in week 3 before we talk about week 4. All right, week 3 we had the Panthers versus the Seahawks. The Panthers lost to the Seahawks. Bryce Young did not play this game, but but Andy Dalton did throw for 361, which is terrific. But they ended up losing the game. Geno Smith threw for 290. What was it? 296 and a touchdown. So Geno is playing fairly impressive. Um, I picked I picked Seattle to win this game just because I knew Bryce Young wasn't playing, and even if he was playing, their offense this year hasn't been looking that dominant. Their offense is still missing some things, and their defense is still missing some things. So Carolina as an overall team, I expect them to be a bottom 5 team in the NFL, and we'll see where they go from here. We had the Patriots versus the Jets. This was game 1 as expected. Battle of the mid quarterbacks. You had Zach Wilson versus Mac Jones. It was very mid. I think only one touchdown scored this whole game. A bunch of field goals kicked. Very mid quarterback play. The Jets finally brought in a quarterback, Trevor Siemian. Zach Wilson was never the answer to begin with. So I'm glad that they brought in a backup, but I'm not really impressed with Trevor Siemian either. So it's just two bums that y'all have a quarterback. Y'all brought in another mid quarterback. So the Patriots did beat the Jets, but like I said, it was the battle of the mid quarterbacks. Nothing really much to talk about here. Eagles versus the Bucks. Eagles versus the Bucks. The Eagles offense still looks shaky. Their running game is very impressive. The O line is very impressive, but the overall offense just looks shaky. Jalen Hurts doesn't look like he did last year, which I keep telling y'all. Last year was an anomaly because that's not how Jalen Hurts played. Jalen Hurts is not this wonderful, terrific quarterback. He's an average quarterback or below average quarterback. To be honest, I keep saying that I consider him the highest paid running back in the league. And with this Eagles tush push play, it has to get banned because I understand. Well, I know there's a rule that for illegal chop block, where if a offensive player is engaged in blocking a defender, or vice versa, and then and then another player goes for their knees, that is a illegal chop block, and that is what happens on that touch push every play. And I don't know why the refs don't call it, and I'm still trying to figure out what is going on with that. But the Eagles did beat the Bucks, 25-11. So shout out to the Eagles defense looked dominant. Looked like they getting back to schedule. Bengals played the Bengals played the Rams on Monday night. Joe Burrow did play this game. He was coming into the game questionable with a calf injury. Um, Taped it up, played the whole game. He looked good. I wouldn't say he looked impressive. He looked good. The defense was very impressive. The defense played inspired. You could say it's because of Joe Burrow being actually playing the game, and that the fact that you don't want to go 0-3 to start the season because that basically eliminates you from playoff contention already. So shout out to the Bengals for winning the first game of the season. Joey B did play good. Not that impressive, but good. Steelers versus the Raiders. Steelers Raiders. Nothing much to say. Another battle of the mid quarterbacks. You had Kenny Pickett versus Jimmy G. Very mid quarterback play. Devontae Adams did go off because that's who Jimmy G was throwing it to, and if he wasn't throwing it to Devontae Adams, he was throwing interceptions. So, battle of the mid quarterbacks. Nothing much to say about here. Pittsburgh did win because of their outstanding defense. Pittsburgh need to figure out what's going on the offensive side of the ball. That's all I'm gonna say. You have too many playmakers to not be giving the ball to them, and you have too many playmakers to not be scoring as often as you should. Just saying. So you guys need to figure it out on the offensive side of the ball. Cowboys versus Cardinals. This was the upset of the week. Nobody expected the Cardinals to beat the Cowboys because one, the Cowboys have been looking dominant, just because of the defense all season, through the first two games versus the Jets and the Giants. But the Cowboys went into this game, and you could say that they overlooked the Cardinals or they slept on the Cardinals, whatever you want to say. But give props to Arizona. They have been battling all year, been in every game all year, and they finally got squeaked one out. So shout out to them. I'm not going to take nothing away from them. Dallas should have been more prepared and not overlooked them. So I do expect Dallas to bounce back this week against New England, simply because they have to bounce back. Because if they lose this week and then they play for the 49ers next week, they will lose three in a row, which would then not look good for their playoff chances. That's all I'm gonna say. So Dallas this week is a must win for y'all. We had the Bears versus the Chiefs, or we're gonna call this the media is calling this the Taylor Swift game, because that's all it was focused on this game. Taylor Swift attending the Chiefs game for Travis Kelce, but Mahomes looked impressive. The Chiefs offense, like I said in the video prior, this was a game for them to get everything on script, humming and everything like that, and that's exactly what they did. The first half, I think they scored 34 points in the first half, which would have been the most points scored in the half this season. And you know what happened on Sunday. So Mahomes and the Chiefs look dominant. Their defense looks like a top 5 defense in the NFL, which is very dangerous for Mahomes to have a top 5 defense along with an offense that's coming along. So when that offense gets to humming and the defense can remain middle of the pack, top 5 to top 10, that would be very dangerous for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So I'm glad that they could get it back on track. Colts versus the Ravens. I'm all I'm gonna say is I've really been impressed with the Colts this year. They've been in every game. They have put up numbers in every game, and their defense is really, really dominant. The defense is really surprising. Lamar did not look that good. The Ravens' offense looks stagnant. I don't know what's going on in Baltimore. They're always dealing with injuries left and right. It's like every year they have like two full pages of paper of injury people that's injured on their team. So their offense looks stagnant. It's back to Lamar running the ball or Lamar bust. So I know y'all brought in a new offensive coordinator to fix that. Y'all brought in some weapons, and it's still the same offense. So whatever's going on in Baltimore, y'all need to fix it. And then really like what's going on in Indianapolis also. I do like the defense. So shout out to them. We had the Chargers versus the Vikings this week. This was a game that I said going into could have been a toss up. It was a 1 point spread. The highlight of this game was the Chargers was up 4 and went for it in their own 25, 1 4 from 1, and was unable to convert. The Vikings then got the ball in the red zone, and Kirk Cousins threw an interception, but it bounced off the receiver hand, bounced in the air, and then a defender dove and made the interception. So I can't really blame that on Kirk Cousins, but then again, he did throw the pass, and um, so like I said, this was a toss-up game to going into. Nothing much to really be impressed about coming out. Justin Herbert threw for I think 300-400 yards, so he put up Madden numbers once again. This was like a Madden game, to be honest. If I'm gonna be honest, they both quarterbacks put up big numbers, but at the end of the day, it was just a bunch of stupid decision, either by coaching or quarterback play. That's all. Next game we had the Saints versus the Packers. The Saints was up, I think 17-0 in this game, until Derek Carr got hurt. Jordan Love then made a comeback in the second half, I believe second half or fourth quarter, and I want to say I was very impressed. But Jordan Love is doing what I expect him to do. He's been solid so far this season. He's taking care of the ball. He looked very impressive in the pocket, maneuvering the pocket, throwing the ball. I love his touch, and a lot of what he do reminds me of young Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but it reminds me a lot of what Aaron Rodgers did when he was young. Get to that. We had the Texans versus the Jags. What I will say is C.J. Stroud is early offensive rookie of the year favorite. He's been very impressive. Um, through his first 3 weeks, he has put up the most passing yards, third most passing yards by a rookie to start off the first three games. He has not thrown an interception yet, so I'm very impressed. I really like what Houston is doing, and the fact that they was able to get the first win of the season this week is very, very good for them and build them moving forward. Their defense is very exceptional. I do like what D'Amico Ryan is doing over there. Like I said, I'm very impressed. I do feel as though Houston has a great team, and they're not ready this year, but give it a year or two, they should be ready to compete, making the playoffs and hopefully, divisional round, conference championship, and hopefully the Super Bowl. Because I do like what they have at quarterback. I do like the receivers, Tank Dell, and I do like the running back. But nevertheless, I've been very impressed with C.J. Stroud and the Texans. So I just want to give them a shout out and props to them. We had the Falcons versus the Lions. This game went as expected, like I predicted. I said if the Lions could shut down Bijan Robinson and the Falcons run game, this should not really be a game, and that's what it was. The Lions offense was humming for the most part. Jared Goff looked good, and the Lions defense was able to shut Bijan down. So it kind of went as expected. The Lions end up winning that game, so shout out to them. Bills versus the Commanders. The Bills defense this year has been looking very impressive, but we could put an asterisk next to that because they played Jimmy G, they played Zach Wilson, and now they playing Sam Howell. So how good is really the defense? But they was able to turn Sam Howell over 4 times, force him to throw 4 interceptions. So I don't want to take anything away from them, but the Bills defense have been okay. Right now, the numbers might be a little skewed because of who they played, but they have a good defense. Now they have Miami coming up, so that would be a really good test to see where the defense is at. But on the offensive side, Josh Allen took care of the ball. Like I mentioned last week, once he take care of the ball, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. If he doesn't take care of the ball, then he's a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. Simply put, we had the Titans versus the Browns. This game, Deshaun Watson. This was the Deshaun Watson comeback game. Not comeback, but this game you saw a little bit of Houston Deshaun and the fact that they was able to let him spread the ball out and throw the ball. being that Nick Chubb went down. Like I said last week, the sooner Kevin Stefanski realized, let me tailor my offense to my superstar quarterback that we brought in for I don't know how much amount of money, but let me tailor my offense to him and actually make him look like the quarterback that we wanted and the quarterback that we went out and got, and not treat him like he's Baker Mayfield, where, oh, I'm gonna only let him throw the ball a couple times, but we're gonna run the ball a bunch of times. That's not Deshaun Watson. That's not why you brought him in. So y'all guys need to fix that. I'm happy that he finally realized it and was able to let Deshaun spread the ball out. And Deshaun looked. This was the first time in years that Deshaun looked like his old self back in Houston. So I do want to give him a shout out for that. So now let's talk about Week 4 and let's make some predictions for what we think is going to happen. First up, we have the Vikings versus the Panthers. I think the Vikings get their first win of the season. The Panthers' defense doesn't really look that impressive, and I expect Kirk Cousins to continue putting up big numbers. Justin Jefferson should have a great game, great game this game, and I do expect Jordan Addison to have his breakout game this season, breakout game of the season this game against the Panthers. So, if you have Jordan Addison or JJ, make sure you start them in fantasy. Make sure you put them on your ticket for anytime touchdown or yardage this game, because I am guaranteeing these two have great games this game. Have the Patriots versus the Cowboys. This game, we'll see how Dak plays against a top defense. He struggled last week against the Cardinals defense, which we wouldn't say is a top defense, but now he's going up against the greatest coach in Bill Belichick, the greatest defensive mind coach in the NFL. So we'll see how Dak looked, to be honest. This game is all about how Dak looked. We already know what we expect from Mac Jones mid-quarterback play. So all eyes is on Dak for this game. I would take the Cowboys to win this game simply because Mac Jones is just a mid quarterback. He is terrible, and he's a dirty player. So I, all that being said, I just don't. I think the Cowboys going to win this game, so I'll take the Cowboys. The Seahawks versus the Giants. The Seahawks versus the Giants. I'm taking my Giants. Yes, we have a 1-2 record, but we played the top two teams in the NFC this year, and we fairly those are the our two toughest competition this year, and we improved every game of the season. So I'm taking this. I'm taking us to beat the Seahawks this week simply because we're finally playing a team that's not down to our competition, but is around our competition and not thought of as better than us or more dominant than us. And I feel as though once we play a team like that for the first time this season, we will be able to get our offense humming, get the defense humming, because the offense doesn't look that bad. The defense has been struggling, but I expect them to get back on track. I'm taking my Giants. I like my Giants this week, to be honest. I like my Giants a lot this week. The Falcons versus the Jags. This game will be played in London at 9 o'clock on Sunday. Um, I ain't, I'm not really impressed with the Jags this year. Trevor Lawrence, he's looking like a mid quarterback to begin with. What I will say is, uh, if the Jags could stop Bijan Robinson, I know y'all keep hearing it. The Falcons only have Bijan Robinson because I do not trust in Desmond Ridder. Desmond Ridder is not a good quarterback for the Falcons. So they need to identify the quarterback of the future and go and pursue it. But with that being said, if the Jags could stop Bijan, then the Jags win easily. If the Jags cannot stop Bijan, then it will be a rough day and a tough flight home coming back from the UK. That's all I'm gonna say. We have the Bengals versus the Titans. Titans coming off of Titans really been Titans coming off of a letdown game last week. I'm taking the Bengals. I like the Titans defense, but the Titans on the offensive side of the ball, it looks just like as stagnant as they did years prior. So I'm just taking the Bengals. I do expect Joe Burrow and the Bengals to continue building on what they built from the game Monday night. So um, I'm not taking Jamar to go for a 140 like he did against the Rams, but I do think Jamar will go for over 100 yards. I do think this game will be a T Higgins game, for the most part, and I do like the Bengals. We have the Broncos versus the Bears. The Broncos versus the Bears. I know I didn't talk about this, so let me talk about it now. The Broncos are coming off one of the worst games in NFL history, allowing 70 points to the Miami Dolphins. Sean Payton. Like I said last week, you have a lot. You've been talking a lot, and you have a lot of checks that you need to be that need to be cashed from your mouth. So, Tua and them put it on you. But what I would say is I'm expecting a bounce back week this week against the Bears. Um, the Broncos overall, I don't know what's going on. I don't want to blame the only person that I'm putting the blame on for the 70 points is Sean Payton. Um, that's the only person I could put the blame on. He's the one that talked the most trash. He's the one that is the head coach. He's the one that's in charge of the team overall in general. Yes, the offense wasn't as bad, but people are saying don't blame Russ for that. But the offense did against Miami defense could have put up more points instead of 20. So don't just say, oh, it wasn't the offense fault. It wasn't Russ' fault. They could have made it a competitive game. And Sean Payton, either Sean Payton or Russ, one of y'all have to go. My thing is, I think it's going to be Russ. Uh, I know some people told me, well, some people was trying to convince me a couple years ago or last year that Russ, going into last year, that Russ was a Hall of Fame quarterback or a French Hall of Fame quarterback. And now I'm being proven right that he's not. So, ha 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 ha. Some people said that Russ was ahead of Eli Manning for Hall of Fame, or Russ is better than Eli Manning for Hall of Fame. So how do y'all like that now? Huh? Hmm. Like I said, like I've been telling y'all, Russ is an average quarterback that has been playing with an elite defense all his career. He has been playing with a good defense all his career. Russell Wilson is not the Hall of Fame quarterback that most people think he is. Russell Wilson is a mid quarterback. He's above mid quarterback with a terrific moon ball. That's it. That is it. So this week they have the Bears. I expect them to bounce back. I expect them to bounce back versus the Bears this week. What I would say is Broncos versus the Bears. I'm expecting Russ and them to bounce back. I expect Sean Payton to bounce back, and I expect them to dominate the Bears. Um, you know, being Sean Payton, I expect him to try to run it up on the Bears to try to make himself feel good. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Because I'm not really impressed with Sean Payton, to be honest. I'm not. I was never a fan of Sean Payton to begin with. I don't understand the hype around Sean Payton, so that's just y'all to deal with. We have the Bucks versus the Saints. I will take the Bucks in this game simply because the fact that I just like the quarterback better. I like Baker better than Derek Carr. Derek Carr is coming off a shoulder injury, so I don't know if he'd be limited or if he will be able to play that game. But I'm just taking Baker over Derek Carr. Uh, Commanders versus the Eagles. This might be a sneaky another upset alert. I do want to take the Commanders to beat the Eagles, but I cannot take Sam Howell to win a game after throwing 4 interceptions against the Bills defense last game. So I am taking the Eagles to win this game. I expect the Eagles to win this game, but I would not be surprised if the Commanders do end up winning this game. The Ravens, Bills versus the Dolphins. This is the game of the week this week. The Bills versus the Dolphins. Miami coming off a 70-point game. Bills defense looking dominant. So something has to give. Either good defense or good offense, which will win. So this game will be the game of the week to me in the NFL. I think the Dolphins should be favored, not only coming off of the 70 points game, but just overall against the Bills. I just think the Dolphins should be favored. But what I would say is I expect this to be a slugfest, and I wouldn't be surprised, knock on wood, if this game plays out like it played out last year, where Tua ends up getting hurt or something like that. So I'm very scared. I don't even want to say that. Um, I'm taking the Dolphins this game. Taking the Dolphins. I'm talking myself into taking the Dolphins. I just like what they have over there in Miami. It's not because they would just put up 70. It's because uh I don't really think the Bills defense is that good, and I don't trust Josh Allen. Simply put, I don't trust Josh Allen. He's going to give the ball away to the Dolphins defense a couple times. He's going to put them in the right position. They just have to come down with it, and hopefully they do. Have the Ravens versus the Browns. Ravens, I have not been very impressed. I am taking the Browns to win this game. I expect Deshaun to keep building off the success he had last week. Kevin Stefanski should start tailoring the offense more to Deshaun, and they should have success. With the Ravens, it's just a laundry list of injuries at the position, every position, and I'm not very impressed with the Ravens this year. So I am taking the Browns to win that game simply because I think the Browns are onto something with Deshaun Watson and finally let him play like how he played in Houston. I have the Steelers versus the Texans. I will take the Texans in this game. I do like the Texans quarterback play over Kenny Pickett. I do like the Texans defense. Yes, though the Steelers do have a great defense and two good defensive players in T.J. Watt and the other guy on the other side. But what I would say is that I do like the Texans, and I like what they have been doing all season. They have been very competitive. I have not been impressed with Pittsburgh. Simply put, I'm taking um, I'm taking C.J. Stroud over Kenny Pickett. That's how I'm gonna put it. Cardinals versus the 49ers, easy. Um, Most people would say the 49ers in this game. I'm favoring the 49ers as of right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona do play them tough. We'll see. Arizona is coming off the first win of the season. Are they going to be content with just that one win, or are they trying to go for more? Are they still tanking for a Caleb, or are they doing something else? So we'll see with Arizona, but I do like the 49ers to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona does end up making this a very competitive game down to the wire. I will not be surprised. Last but not least, Sunday night we have the Chiefs versus the Jets. Um, Another get right game for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this game might be New York tipping point. Um, I think the defense of this game might blow up on the offense, and we'll see some arguments on the sideline, and just a broken team on the sideline, which is sad to say. But the Jets put themselves in this position, so I can't really hold anybody else accountable but themselves. So yeah, those are my, the recap for the past week of college football and the NFL and predictions for this week. Make sure you guys are liking the video, commenting the video, and subscribing to the channel. And like I said in the beginning, is much appreciated. It helps grows the following, and I feel as though the things that I talk about here is very accurate, and I think the average football fan that is knowledgeable would agree with most of the things that I say here. So make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to share the channel, spread the word. Anything that can help the following, help grow the fan base, and I appreciate that. Thank y'all.